believe I should be live. Yes, I am. Okay, great. Let's do an audio check before I get going. Yeah, audio is fine. Okay, wonderful. Thanks for joining tonight on this Saturday night. Tonight's not going to be about code so much as having some fun and interacting with my new application. So I'm going to wait for a few more people to join the stream, and then we're going to field some questions hopefully from YouTube if people start to join. I don't know. This is sort of unplanned, but maybe we'll get some questions from the crowd. We'll let some people join. And until then, let me show the idea here. So this is my Django database, and you're going to see that it's empty aside from devices, and I need the device information to build my PyETS testbed, my key, which I'm not going to show, and actually let me flush these. And they should be flushed. I'm going to have to look into that. I thought I was flushing these as I was pushing them, but I'll look into that. So now what I have is this form. So we go to /generateConfig, and we're going to go and steal a prompt, and we're just going to say generate the configuration for an iOS XE NTP server with the IP address of 192.168.1.1. And thank you for joining, and start thinking of your configuration ideas, okay? So we're going to go show run include NTP. We can see there is no NTP. And I need to fix this up. Obviously the logo is a little out of place. I don't know why it's saying form or text input or where it's getting submit from, maybe from the style sheeting. But I had my own information in here, like a question here. And so I'm going to have to look at the front end presentation a little bit. But let's go ahead and submit the question. And here's what it came back with, which is valid and which is good, right? And we can either regenerate if we don't like the answer, or go ahead and push the device. So let's push it to the device, and that'll roll over to our results page. That'll show us the pre and post configuration and the differential. And hopefully split up the new lines. I've added some code to hopefully give us new lines in the response. But we're going to have a look at that and see if that's working. So the code's still running. Okay, so there we go. And it does break up the new lines. Wonderful. So if I do run NTP right now, there's the config. Here's the pre-config, and here's the post-config, and here's the differential. So it added NTP server. So if we scroll down through this config in the post, somewhere in here, we're going to see it should be in here, and the differential shows it, unless I'm not putting the right information in the database here. No, right there, NTP server. Right? So that's just from the human prompt. Okay, so now if we go back to generate configs, actually what I'm curious, if I look in my database now, everything is empty, good, except for my answers, which is what I want. So now, let's go to generate config. And honestly, out there listening, watching, what do you want me to try to configure? What would you put in here? What have you had to configure in your networks? Let me know. Well, let's try it. So I have another one that we're going to do. And we're going to do an interface with an IP address and enable the port. And notice that I'm using Cedar notation here. /24. That's not what you type in when you configure it. You need the dotted decimal and enable the port. All right, so now if we look here, I'll show you, show IP in brief. We can see that, it's down and doesn't have an IP address. So we're going to ask it for the config. Interface GI2, IP address, no shutdown. That looks pretty good to me. Let's push it to the device and wait a couple seconds here. And then we put termmon on so we can actually see the device responding to the configs and the results here. So it'll come up in a second because it takes a second for an interface to come up, but there we go. Interface 2 with an IP, and it's up. Here's our differential. Oh, I see. Okay, so here's our differential. And here's the new config, and here's the new interface config right here. IP address and shutdown is gone. You get the idea? Anybody out there want to throw a config at me? All right, so then let's add a static route. Actually, let's try to undo this. So let's copy our IP address, and we'll do the /24, and we'll go back to generate config, and we're going to say, please remove the IP address /24 and shut down, let's say, from interface gigabit Ethernet 2 and shut down the port. Okay, let's see if we can do this just through the prompt. So let's see what it recommends. Interface no IP address shut down. Now see here, it didn't translate that. So let's try to regenerate it. Let's see it's gonna, so see, it might not be as smart as we think it is. So let's go back to generate config, because that's not going to work. And we're going to say, please remove IP address 172, or what is it? And we'll just do the whole thing here. And from interface gigabit Ethernet 2 and shut down the port. Okay, try that. No IP. See, it's still doing /24 here. So that's not great. We're going to regenerate it, and it might give us the same answer. There we go. So that's better. Push to device. So that took a little bit of massaging, but we've added it, and now let's see if we can remove it. And now it's shut down and doesn't have an IP address. Pretty cool stuff, right? So let's do a couple more. I don't see too much of a crowd, and there's not too much coming at me. So this might be a short little demonstration as opposed to a stream. But let's do, I have 2 more use cases, and then I'll wait and see if anyone has anything from the crowd. Let's do a static route. And this is in human voice as well. So we're going to go back to generate config. And we're going to say, please generate the config IOSXE for a static route to destination this, using interface 2 with a next stop of GI111. Now we could even say, please prepare interface gigabit Ethernet 2 for this as well. I don't know, something like that. Let's see if it adds any configs for GI2. So we've asked for static route, so it's going to give an IP and no shut GI2, and then give us the IP route, right? And if I do this real quick to prove I'm not cheating, right? The interface is shut with no IP, and if I do show run, there is one route, the default route right now, right here. That's it. Now hopefully this IP doesn't conflict, but let's try this. Push config. So now the interface is up with an IP. And if we do show run, do I have a new static route? I do. IP route right here. And here's my differential. If I sort them by timestamp, there's my route. There's my interface config. There's the differential showing the interface change and the route. All from human prompt. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool, right? So say hello. Let me know where you go. What do you guys think? What girls think? Please. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I have one more. Otherwise, if I don't hear anything from the audience, if it's going to stay quiet, I'm going to go back and do some more other things. But let's do the last one, which is really impressive to me. So let's undo that, and we'll just remove that route. I mean, we could do this. Let's just do it with the prompt. Yeah, that's a mistake. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to try to remove that route using generate config. And so please remove the route using interface gigabit 02 and next hop. So please remove that, and it's going to know it out. And let's make sure that route's gone, and I believe it is. Yeah, the route is gone. So now we're going to remove this IP and shut that interface. And here's our differential of us removing the route. So let's go back to generate config, and we're going to say, please remove the IP address from interface gigabit Ethernet 2 and shut down the port. Submit. Looks good to me. Push the device. And it's been shut down, and we've removed the interface. Pretty cool, right? Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining. Just a brief little stream to show you how this is coming along. Thank you for joining me. Have a great evening and weekend, everyone.